Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Unspoken Reality podcast. This episode will be just tackling on the issues of transitioning because it's inevitable. It's inevitable to transition from one stage to the other after our season has passed. And it's okay that you don't know exactly what you want to be doing 20 years from now, 10 years, 5, or what you want to have accomplished. It's okay. You don't need to curate a detailed plan on how you're going to get there. Perhaps just having even a hint of what it is that you want to be doing, that's okay. And then you start on working on the steps to get there. It's not a must that you have as a detailed plan on how that's going to occur. And so, in this episode, I'd just like to lay down a bit of what transition is all about and how you manage some of it based on the little knowledge that I have on the matter. Yeah, so let's get to it. Life transitions are periods of transformation in our lives. And this is because they mark the beginning of something new. It involves changes in the things that you used to do, roles, responsibilities, and routines. Perhaps you stop doing what you used to do, or there's a little bit of change in how you used to do things. And this requires you to adapt to the new circumstances. And also, it's important to realize that transitions can be positive, they can be negative. You take it in stride the way they come. I did some little bit of research on the topic so that I can give you a conclusive episode. And I read that the definition of transition by William and Susan Bridges, some people somewhere, that it's the process of letting go of the way things used to be and then taking hold of the way they subsequently become. An example could be a new year, you're transitioning, a new class, graduation, and the feelings that are accompanied with this transition. They can be excitement, it can be overwhelming. There's also fear, there's also joy, there's also sadness, depending on the type of transition that you're undergoing. And before we break it down further, allow me just to lay a background or rather a reminder on the precursor of this episode, which was seasons. And sometimes you might not have that full understanding of why you were in a certain season in your life. You might not even see the immediate benefit of why you had to go through it. But the philosophy that I'm adopting in my life is that seasons are there to teach us something. Sometimes God takes you to places so that you can learn something. And once the lesson has been learned, you transition into another season. Allow me to use this example. We all know, or most of us know, that the journey from Egypt to Canaan was supposed to take 3-4 days, at most a week. Historians tell us that. But it took these people 40 years in the wilderness. There are places that they stayed for 7 years. There are places that they stayed for a year, even for a day, and then they moved. So they were on the move. But it took them 40 years. And I tend to believe that there is something that these people were supposed to learn, but it had to take them 40 years for them to learn that thing. I don't know what it was. Simply my assumption based on how seasons work. Because it was really supposed to be a short journey, but they had to learn something. It even took another generation to be born for them to finish their journey. So basically, the point is there is something that you're supposed to come out with out of a season. And that thing, you're going to use it in the next season of your life. So don't despise things that happen to you that you, at this point in time, perhaps you are not aware of what it is or why it is that it happened. And another thing is, don't be too comfortable in the season that you are in, because one season has a time frame. It lasts only in the time that it lasts. It doesn't last forever. And also, number two, an philosophy that I'm trying to adopt is that happiness is found in progress. So always be on the move. Though it's important to acknowledge that there is a season of rest, and transition is also a season of rest. It's that time to take a breather because you're now adapting to a new circumstance in your life, you're adapting to a new season. Take a breather. Acknowledge that transitions provide opportunities for personal growth. Change is inevitable, and so is growth. Live a life in pursuit of purpose. So, some of the key life transitions that perhaps we have encountered or we are yet to encounter, there are those that are expected, anticipated transitions. These ones are predictable, and in most cases, we plan for because they align with typical life stages or the expectations that we have from our peers, the society. These are expected transitions. Example could be graduating from school, starting a career, getting married, or retiring. Yeah, we can say retiring also. And even though it's expected, it can still be challenging because a key determinant of transition is that they require adjusting and they require you to adapt to the new environment, to the new roles and whatnot. Another one are unexpected. These ones they occur without warning. They're never planned for. It can be like a surprising attack. It disrupts our day-to-day activities, our routines and whatnot. Something like the sudden loss of a loved one, or a job loss, or an illness, or a natural disaster. It can bring about stress, uncertainty, and some bit of coping strategies. There's also internal transitions. When you have a shift in your identity, I don't know if that's possible, I guess it is. In your belief, there's something that you used to believe in. In most cases, it's religion, but then you no longer believe in it. Maybe your values shift, emotional states. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes it's a transition. It's an internal transition. They might not be visible to others. People might not know what's going on internally, especially when it comes to emotional distress. But it can affect your sense of self and also how you interact with the world and with others. There are also external transitions like moving to a new city, getting married, becoming a parent. There are also those that are forced transition, something that is imposed on you as an individual. It's often without your consent. It can be very challenging to accept this one. There's also a transition that you choose. Maybe you say, I want to pursue higher education. I want to change career. I want to move to a new country. You want to end a relationship. It's a chosen transition. So, just simply put, we have those that are anticipated, we have those that aren't anticipated, and there are also those that don't occur at all, non event transitions. Yeah, it's a transition that you expect to happen, but it does not happen. For example, not getting married when expected, not receiving a promotion, infertility when you are planning for children. It's a non-event transition. It can lead to feelings of disappointment, frustration, or it can make you to question life choices and expectations. That was just to lay a background on some of these transitions. They are many. They are many. We can't even give name to all of them, but we've categorized at least three: those that we expect, those that we don't expect, and those that don't happen. But now that's not the point of this episode. The main point that is the take home for you, which I'll say it in as briefly as I can. I'm lacking words here to put it, but anyway, how do you manage these life transitions? I'll just put it simply. There's this thing we call the circle of control, and it has been a guiding factor for me in how I handle situations, how I handle people, how I handle things. Circle of control. Most people will say it's stoicism, being a stoic. And simply put, is you identify where you are in life, identify what is the thing that you can control, what is the thing that you can't control. If it was an unexpected transition, it just happened out of the blue, go back to the drawing point. Remember, rest. Take that rest, take that breather. Have time to detach, to disengage from the happenings and figure out things. What is it? What is that one thing that you can control? Is what is happening to you within your jurisdiction? Can you change the outcomes? If you can't, then there is no way to stress about it. If you cannot change the outcome of something, of a transition, of the circumstance that you are currently in, let chance take its course. But identify the things that you can do and do them. Most of the time we wallow in sadness, we wallow in stress, we wallow in what is it? Things that we really don't have control over. And then the things that are just within reach, something that we can change, we completely neglect. And so the take home here is identify what you can do. For example, if you are now in a transition of from school, the school system, to the career, there's simply those requirements of sending out CVs, writing, going through the job descriptions, going for interviews, networking with people. So what is within your reach are all these: writing a perfect CV, go and research how to do so. Going to these companies. I don't think there's any company that will chase you when you go and knock and say you came to inquire. By the way, that's one of the methods that you can use. Perhaps even if you're not going straight forward by asking, I need a job, you could just put your name out there by going and saying, I'm here to inquire. What do you guys do on a day-to-day basis? And then it could be an approach for you, a platform for you now to showcase your skills. And you increase the likelihood of yourself getting hired by the more companies you visit. So create time to do that. Create time to learn how to write a good CV, how to write a cover letter. And the mistake that we do that I've identified is that we normally have one cover letter for all the jobs, or the CV. You are just using CVs for one CV for all the jobs that you're applying for. It's a new trick that I've learned, that you need to curate your CV to match the job description that you're applying for, so that the key requirements that these people have will be what is standing out in your CV and also in your cover letter. It's something that you can learn, that is within your control. Reaching out to new people, going to networking events, some of them are free. and try to meet out new people. It's something that is within our reach. Now, if or whether you get the job or not, that one is not within your control. Let go. Let go of that one. As long as you've done what needs to be done, what is humanly possible, then these other things doesn't matter. It will happen if it's supposed to happen. If it doesn't, you move. That is what adapting that mentality, that identifying what's within your circle of control, can help you navigate some of these mental and stressful situations. There is a lot that can be expounded on in this topic, but basically, that's what I wanted you to take home. When you're transitioning to another season of your life, just identify what are the things that you can control and what are the things that are beyond your reach, and then work to change what you can change. Right. I don't think I'll go beyond that one. I want to believe that I've been able to articulate my thoughts clearly and perhaps I've given you wisdom or nuggets on how you're going to navigate some of the expected and unexpected transitions and even those that don't occur. Right. So that's it. I hope to catch you on another episode of Unspoken Reality Podcast. So have a blessed week, day, month. Until we meet again, shalom.